Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability questions concerning this watch. Today, we have an infrequent visitor, one of the rarest versions of one of Lange's least produced model lines. You are looking at the Lange Sohne Cabaret with black mother-of-pearl dial and diamond set bezel. So this watch is absolutely gorgeous, and it is reference 827043, larger than the previous arcade. The Cabaret model was made from 1997 to 2012 in various variants, of which this is one of the least common. So we'll throw it on the wrist, but first take note, this is a Lange factory strap, calfskin on the bottom, but uncommonly stingray leather on the top. It's ultra hard and long wearing and has a very distinctive circular scale grain to it. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, you can appreciate that this is bigger than the previous Cabaret. It's 26.5 millimeters wide, 9.4 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 43.2 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs, because it is actually fairly large on the wrist, although the measurements don't suggest it. Remember, rectangular watches always wear large, so you want to think of this as a 40 or a 41 millimeter round watch just to get a sense of how big it is, which is why I would recommend it for wrists of 15 centimeters circumference or larger. Once more, mine is 16 in circumference, and it will easily fit underneath a dress cuff. My goodness, the stingray leather. When you run your finger across the top of it, it feels like plastic. It's a difficult thing to describe, and it looks as unique as it feels. You can see that there is some substantial bolstering to add thickness here. It uses a shear cut side that's been lacquered for refinement, and in order to avoid breaking up the scales and fracturing the natural material, this is a bonded strap, which means there's no stitching. The calfskin lining and the stingray leather on top are bound by an adhesive that keeps this seamless and clean. Running over to the buckle, it's a standard Lange pin buckle. You can see rose gold to match the watch, Lange branding, some soft creases on the outside. There's a little retaining bar inside to prevent the strap from getting stuck on your wrist. If you have a really small wrist, use the smallest hole, or you punch a smaller hole. Sometimes the strap can get a little bit pinned on the pin, so to speak. Well, that retaining bar inside prevents that from happening, so it's easier to take the watch off. We also have an elevated bridge, which simply means that when you put the strap into the buckle, it sits flush rather than stacking up and adding height on the wrist. The case features a very mild interpretation of Lange's stepped lugs, but that distinctive design trait is carried over. The case is all of high polish. We have one little pusher adjuster for the double-digit date, the panorama datum. We have a Lange branded crown, and then we have a diamond paved bezel. You can see the individual diamonds graded for color, clarity, and carats so that they're seamless and there's no transition in size or clarity or color from diamond to diamond. The dial is black mother of pearl, which is considerably darker with more dramatic prismatic qualities than white mother of pearl. It is darker, and it also gives away more component colors more easily as you cycle it through the light than on white mother of pearl. Of course, we have rose gold alpha style hands, date frame, numerals, and indices. And then this German-made watch does feature a stop seconds function, so you can set it to a reference time. 30 meters water resistant. When you turn it over, you can see the movement is properly shaped and sized for this case. By the way, if you're wondering why there are Swiss hallmarks on a German watch, there's the Swiss hallmark right there. You can see Centror made the case. That's a company associated with Audemars Piguet in Switzerland. And B, you see Brogioli's signature on the buckle. They would have made the buckle. That's, again, why we have a Swiss hallmark on this German pin buckle. Remember, Lange does not make bracelets, buckles, or cases. It works with suppliers. It does, however, make its own movements and its own hairsprings, and that's what we've got here. This is caliber L931, the 4th edition of it, so L931.4. Manual wind, 42-hour power reserve, 3 hertz beat rate, stop second, double-digit date. We have 5-position adjustment, which you can see right here, that is the high horology and chronometer standard, and it all sits and pivots on 30 joules. A couple of aesthetic highlights. You can see the bridges are German silver, which is a nickel copper zinc alloy, with the copper giving it its champagne hue. We have a 3/4 style bridge. Both the material German silver and the 3/4 bridge a nod to the era of Lange pocket watches during the heyday of the brand before communism in the early 1900s and through the 19th century. Another element, the golden chaton cups holding the pivot jewels. That's just a nod to the way pocket watches tended to be made. Before you could precisely press a jewel into a bridge or a plate, you would actually make a precision golden cup, press the jewel into that, and then fit it to the movement using screws. Along those lines, you can see we have both polished screws and fired blued screws. The watch does not force you to choose. We have a mirror polished and beveled steel swan's neck fine adjustment mechanism. You can see freehand engraving on the balance cock, no two exactly alike. Engine turning on the base plate. You can see there is mirrored anglage on the edge of the bridges. It's lighting up for you. We have a black polished, that is mirror finished steel. You see how it turns black at certain angles? We have that mirror finished steel cover to the escape wheel. And then notice the interior angle where the two bevels meet in sharp crease. Difficult to do on any metal, especially stainless steel. And once again, dress watch standard 30-meter water resistance. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.